He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant.
The purpose of this was to express the genocide of the Third World. In other words, that it was designed to make sure that there would be no Third World development, that therefore the black and brown people of the world would not become numerous.
We just saw a very disturbing sign. It said, coming for blacks and Indians, welcome to the New World Order. I mean, who the hell knows?
In our country, that would be blacks and Native Americans.
No matter how many treaties were signed or how much land they gave to the United States, the Indian was still in the way. This was known as the Indian problem.
You murdered your way and enslaved your way and tortured your way to relevance. You didn't build, you took. And you continue to tell yourself a story that nothing else was here before you.
And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage.
We came here and created a blank slate. We birthed a nation from nothing. I mean, there's nothing here. I mean, yes, we have Native Americans, but candidly, that there isn't much Native American culture in American culture.
Civil War General Ulysses S. Grant was elected president in 1869. Problems with the Indians were becoming critical. Corruption was rampant in the Bureau of Indian Affairs, wars were raging on the plains, and powerful citizens groups were protesting conditions on the reservations. Seeking a permanent solution, Grant met with a delegation of Quakers who proposed to hand responsibility for the Indians to Christian groups. Christianizing Indians would make them peaceful and more easily incorporated into white culture. Grant believed assimilation could end the Indian problem and began transferring management of reservations to Christian groups. Plateau Indian life was steadily declining. White settlers were pouring in, taking the land and abusing Indian rights where they could. Alcoholism, suicide, and despair were increasing. Desperate to do what he could to stem the tide, Gary launched a new series of Christian meetings and tried to interest white friends in building more schools and churches for the Indians. In Washington, Congress agreed with Grant's vision of assimilation. They immediately passed a series of laws that denied Indian sovereignty, outlawed most religious and cultural practices, and made it illegal to leave the reservation. In 1879, Richard Henry Pratt approached Congress with an idea he believed could hasten assimilation.
Richard Henry Pratt was an Army officer, and the Indian Wars led him to believe that the only redemption of the Indians was through education. His goal was to kill the Indian and save the man. He said the sooner all Indian relations are broken up, the sooner they lose even their language, the better off they will be, and so will the nation be. Therefore, he set about exterminating Indian culture.
The Indian school would function as the Army did. Indian children would be taken from their family at an early age and live in barracks. They would be forbidden their language and culture and forced to speak, live, work, and look like whites.
Somehow these people are supposed to be changed into white people. And so they did everything they could in the schools to do that. You can't speak the language. You have to learn all this new understandings. You're cut off from your parents, and most of all, you're cut off from your grandparents and great-grandparents, who really were your teachers of the old life way.
For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.